All right, why men hate women, why women hate men. Everybody really talks about this topic as if it's one-sided. Oh, women done changed. They used to be cool and now they messed up. Men used to be real men. And what I've gathered from all the people that I work with, I work with a lot of men and a lot of women. What I've gathered is for most people, the time that they feel that men and women loved each other the most and the connections were the best and all of that was about 1950 to 1960. That's where to the 1960s. That's where people seem to feel like, yo, this is great grandmama or grandma and grandpa or dad, depending on how old you are, mom and dad. This is where love was love. So, I did some research on that too. And I looked at that time, the divorce rate was about 25%. And most people were getting married either at college age or high school age. So I see how we've romanticized this because you didn't see the divorces happening all the time. You didn't see people just breaking up. You didn't see that as much at the time. And for most of us, we're looking at grandma and grandpa, or we're looking at mom and dad if they've been together for 25, 30 years or whatever the case may be, 40 years, 50 years, whatever their situation might be. We're looking at that and it's like everything seemed like it was lovely back then. Why can't we go back to a better time? We look at the movies from that time period. It seemed like it was all love. Everything was all romantic and all of that. And I think this is the root cause of a lot of anger and a lot of frustration in relationships now. I think this is where it starts, is because we romanticize these relationships. We assume that because these people stayed together, everything must have been perfect. Well, I would leave if this happened. And since they didn't leave, that means nothing bad must have happened, right? I think that's what's going on in people's minds. But when you look into the 70s, by 1979, the divorce rate had doubled. So did people really change that much? Now, a lot of people blame it on the no-fault divorce. This came along around the 70s where basically you didn't have to say somebody beat you. You didn't have to say somebody cheated on you. Didn't have to say somebody tried to kill your dog. All you had to do was say irreconcilable differences. We not really checking for each other. Let's break up. I've heard a lot of people blame the way things are now on that. See, they did these no-fault divorces and the divorce rate went through the roof. But here's what people don't think about. Just because you made it easy to get divorces should not have affected the divorce rate that drastically unless it was already a whole bunch of unhappy people who wanted to get divorced in the first place. Am I right? Just because you gave a person an opportunity, like for instance, if you said right now, look, it used to be illegal to burn your house down, but now you can burn it to the ground. Do you think that there would be way more houses? Like it would double? Would you burn your crib to the ground? Probably not, right? Probably not. So I think people decided that, yeah, things were so great back then because people stayed together. And when they made these no-fault divorces, that's when they ruined everything. And this is the world we have now. I'm going to disagree. I think what's happened is life actually got better in a lot of ways. And historically, when life gets better, relationships, jobs, everything becomes a lot more flimsy and a lot more disposable. Like, remember, even in the 70s and 80s, people used to work at the same place for their whole lives. Now, people will have over, in most cases, 10 to 20 jobs in their whole lifetime. Why? Is it because jobs were nicer to people back in the day? Is it because nobody had problems with their job back in the day? Come on now. Jobs used to be way worse. Jobs used to disrespect you. Jobs are way better now. You know what I'm saying? Like, because of all the changes that we have, all the laws that make it to where, you know, they can't just work you to death. They can't slap you on the job, curse you out, sexually harass you without any type of repercussion. But life has also gotten better, and people expect more from life because life has gotten better. So now people don't stay at a job that they hate anymore. Just like people don't stay in a marriage where they figure out, dude got another family on the other side of town. This baby's not even really mine. This person's been cheating on me. This person is broke and never got a job. Now, you know, we don't have to struggle together anymore because life got better. Opportunities have improved. This changed communities. It used to be a time, like, even if you look in the black community, for instance, where you had segregation and everybody had to stay in the community no matter what. You couldn't get out. So you had doctors that stayed right next to people who were poor. My dad was talking to me about this like about maybe 10 years ago. We were actually talking about segregation. It might have been 12 years ago. Anyway, my dad was talking to me about it. And he was like, yeah, man, it used to be doctors and lawyers would live in the same neighborhood with poor people because you just couldn't get out. There's no way out. You couldn't go, oh, I got money, I'm about to move over here to the rich neighborhood on the other side of town, because they would burn your house down or burn a cross on your yard. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but it wasn't, you couldn't move, you couldn't leave. So everybody was stuck together. This is how things used to be. People were stuck together. You didn't have as much incentive to be single. Now you got incentive to be single. You got everything from welfare to the child support system to people being able to say, because they have welfare, because they have the child support system, I can actually leave and not really feel that bad. My family's not going to starve necessarily, because it's kind of hard to starve in a first world country. You almost got to want to. I'm just being real. It's hard to starve in a first world country. You almost got to be like, you know what? I want to starve. So this gave people an opportunity to get out and get out without really having to feel bad about the situation. Like, you know what? I can move on. I could get a job. But that doesn't mean that people were happier before. That doesn't mean that the situation was better before. But because we've romanticized that, we've romanticized 1960. We've romanticized grandma and grandpa. We've romanticized great grandma and great grandpa. We've romanticized all of the old movies and things that we used to see. Because we've done that, we expect something different from people that we meet nowadays. We think, man, if I was born back in 1960, I would have had somebody. I'd be married by now. No matter what I look like, no matter what type of job I have, no matter what type of personality I have, I'd be good. But that's a bunch of bull crap. And that's what leads to so much of the anger inside the sexes, is that people think things would have been better in the past. So now they believe that this group of women or this group of men is so much worse than whatever existed 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, even 100 years ago. Bull crap. And people consistently perpetuate this thought process. And I think that's why we have so much of the anger and so much of the frustration. Pops, I'm hurt. She done left me, man. What you think I should do? Boy, back in my day, all you had to do was go to her job and you cry and you get down on your knees. You beg and plead for sympathy. I'm telling you, boy, that's all you gotta do. Pops, you talking about stalking her. That's a crime now. Yo, it's your man, Chazz Ellis. And I know y'all tired of getting the same old 1965 game that never works. Well, click the link below and check out 9 ways to get your ex back. This is cold-hearted game where I give you different techniques to turn the tables on your ex and get them chasing you for a change.